Good morning. It's July 3rd, 2020, here in Casper, Wyoming, United States. Uh, Today, the topic's going to be potty mouth, and word and the power of words. So, I chose potty mouth because that's a term that, as a parent, sometimes you'll use that as a child. We say, well, um, he just gets so negative, or he or she, a little, I'm talking, 3 4 years old, they get so negative and they have what we call potty mouth. And basically it's basically a term that we use that describes bad stuff coming out of that child's mouth. I mean, it's things that aren't going to cause that child to do well for that day, at least that day. The neat thing about a child is they can just change it on a dime. They can be having the worst day in the world, and then a few seconds later, everything's great. So I think when Jesus talked about be like a child, he wasn't saying being childish. He was saying like that, like let it go, let things go, don't hold on to stuff and things. But today, I'm going to talk about the power of words and how powerful they are. So in the good book, it says life and death are in the power of the tongue. And so what that means is how powerful words are. So words can bring death and life. So words can bring death and words can bring life. And I believe that you can actually, a lot of times we just go along our lives and we say things come out of our mouths and we don't even realize some of the little things that we say. For example, I used to say stuff. I've been really careful. I've been looking at what I say as more of a habit. And so one of the things I would say is, I'm so busy. And it's funny, when you say stuff like that. Well, how's things going? Oh man, I'm so busy. And then it would seem like all this pressure would come on me, and I'd have so many things to do, and I'd be so busy. So you're gonna have what you speak, and so be careful what you're speaking. When you're saying I'm so tired, or I don't, things like boy, I just don't have enough money. Not enough money will just keep finding you. So I make declarations like I always find myself saying, oh, there's plenty of money. I've got lots of money. Everything is good that way. And just by saying that, it almost takes the pressure off. It makes you feel better. So the neat thing is, the words spoken are very powerful. Words bring life. Words bring death. And guess what? You get to choose. So you can choose whether you what words you use. What I want to get you to find out is, what are you saying about yourself? Are you saying, I'm weak, or I'm, it's, when a child is really small, usually a parent or an adult person and it could be a friend of that person, a brother, a sister, something like that, can speak things over that child, and it'll go right into the subconscious mind. And years later, when that child's an adult, they're operating on these things that were said over them, and because of how powerful the words are. So if, let's say, a brother or a sister says, you are so stupid, you are dumb, and that child is I'd say between the age of 4 and 8, somewhere in that range, it just goes right in there, and they may be operating on those words later in their life, and they're having trouble in their life that you need to go back and look at what was said over you. And the other way that you can change that is by talking over and over again. In other words, saying things that use the I ams. I talk about the I am. We say stuff like, I am dumb, I am no good. I am too small, I am too tall, I'm too short. Those I ams are so powerful, and when you say them, and if you say them with emotion, then it's even more powerful. but just saying them is very powerful. And so I want to encourage you to say that, you know, on a daily basis. I've been doing an experiment with some IMs. I've got about 25 or 30 IMs, such as I am wealthy, I am thoughtful, I have the peace of God, I am funny and fun to be around, things like that. Positive affirmations, and I'm saying those out loud every day. I just kind of say it to myself. I actually don't look in a mirror, but I just kind of read it and say it. And so because those IMs are so important. I heard about a story about a guy that used to say, I am 39 forever. I am always going to be 39. And I heard that 2 weeks before his 40th birthday, he died. So, you know, that's a kind of a horrible way of words. But words can go both ways. They can go, be careful what comes out of your mouth, you know. I heard about a guy that used to say he was in high school, and he had a big bush, he had lots of hair, and he was very good shape, an athlete, and just as jokingly, people would say, how you doing? He goes, well, I'm just fat and bald. And he would just say it as a joke, you know, and everybody kind of get a laugh out of it. But the problem is that words are very powerful. And I heard that 20 years later, the friend of his saw him and didn't recognize him because he was bald and he was fat, and because he prophesized his future when he was in high school. So use your words for what you want, not off the stuff you don't want. Don't be careful about using words as jokes, because you know, those can come to pass. So and your thoughts, you know, when you have thoughts, it's one thing to have a thought, and thoughts are powerful. They're very powerful, and thoughts are things. But when you add words to those thoughts, and then if you add words and you write it down, and you have a high charged situation, emotional situation with it, it's even more powerful. So, but even if there is no emotional thing, the words are very, very powerful, and images are powerful too. But when you speak words out of your mouth, those words are like seeds that are planted in the ground. And if you plant destruction, anger type seeds, and you're constantly mad and upset, those types of seeds, that's the crop you're going to get. What a man sows, he reaps. So when your tongue, you know, I'd say the most powerful, strongest muscle in the human body is the tongue, and it can do things that nothing else can do. I mean, the mind and the imagination is infinite in its scope, but words have such a powerful. They have a creative power, and whether it's negative or positive. And so, you know, the words that we use, it's like you have to get a rein on those. You know, like my uncle has a dog, and you know, he didn't have any control over himself when he was a puppy, and now he's 3 years old, and he has some control. He used to, I mean, if he saw a shoe, he'd have to go and chew on that shoe. So he chewed up a lot of my uncle's shoes when he was younger, and he just, you know, the other day he bought a new pair of shoes, and he had those shoes sitting right there where the dog could get to him, and the dog has control over himself now, and he you know, when he'd leave, you know, the dog would, you know, I'd like to see a videotape. I'm sure the dog would go nuts when he'd leave. He'd had a little bit of control when my uncle was there, but when he left, the dog would just you know, go crazy. I'm assuming because he'd get home and half his shoes would be chewed up, you know, because he'd be chewing on the shoes, and then the dog would get in trouble. But the dog, as he got older and matured, the dog actually got a control of himself. And I think that, you know, as you're younger, it's the same way with words. We don't have really control over the words we say. It's just stuff comes out. Some people never get control of their words, and it's sad because with words, I mean, if life and death are in the power of the tongue, or life and death are in the power of the words we use that comes out of our mouths, is another interpretation of that. And if we don't get a control, once we get control of our words can control our destiny, and our words can control every part of our lives. So This is an important deal. So if you get control of your words, you get to choose where your life goes, and it's a very powerful. And I want to encourage you that use your words for what you want, not what you don't want. Don't say that you're going to get sick. That people use their words for that. Use your words for gaining. So anyway, that's it for today, and have a good one.